enough about land use for now.
Sure.
The council considered the sugar tax and decided not to, the soda sugar tax.
So Berkeley recently passed a sugary beverage tax, sugar sweetened beverage tax, and it applies at the distributor level. So it doesn't actually occur at the retail transaction levels. The idea was, Berkeley's approach was to tax it and use that tax to provide some information, provide some funds for some of the school garden programs and a variety of things like that, and then also directly or indirectly try to reduce consumption. It had some appeal to me personally because I think it's nice when taxes are avoidable, right? If they're a little bit more on the discretionary side. One of the things that people have talked to me about is the fact that they feel like Davis is fairly unaffordable. They're struggling to make ends meet, and the prices keep going up, and is Davis only going to be for the wealthy and successful? And so the idea of an additional tax, that kind of hits everybody, whereas if it's on a discretionary item, there's a little bit more flexibility. When we were talking about the sugar sweetened beverage tax, it was in context of we were evaluating perhaps a parcel tax. We were looking at a utility users tax, and we were looking at sugar sweetened beverage tax. Utility users tax is fairly common in California. There are a couple hundred municipalities that tax utilities. So that could be your electric bill, that could be your water bill, that could be your cable bill, that could be your phone bill. And on average, it's about 5%. And that would have generated a fair amount of money. The thing about it is pretty much everybody uses electricity, and everybody uses water, and everybody has trash collection, and so it's hard to escape that tax. It also had some appeal because there are very well documented health consequences of ingesting large amounts of sugar. The research has shown that this is probably the main source of sugar in people's diets for a very large proportion of people. Actually much worse than sort of eating, me eating a piece of pie. Even though there might be a similar amount of sugar, with the pie there are a variety of other constituents that tend to slow the absorption of the sugar, and there's also some nutritive value. So me eating an apple pie, there's some apples in there, there's some flour and some various other things. Whereas sugar sweetened beverages just tend to be essentially just sugar and water. So having said that, the goal here was not to become a nanny state and just sort of tell people not to drink soda. But I drink soda every now and then. To me, it's a treat, and I can pay an extra 12 cents, or I guess now it's 16.9 cents or 20 cents, depending on the size of the soda. And that's okay. The goal here is not to be a nanny state, but I think it's a very symbolic thing. If we would have had a soda tax, it I think would have sent a signal that we recognize some of the negative health consequences, and coupled with this was the plan to use that money for children's health and recreation programs. So one of the things about the city budget is we have a parcel tax for parks. The parks parcel tax covers about a quarter of the cost of operating our parks. And so there is a need for additional funding for our parks and rec programs. And so the idea was that there would be sort of this nice benefit of the soda pop helping fund some children's nutrition programs and also recreation programs, and also cover some of the park expenses. There was not support on the council for that, and I think ultimately 10 years from now we'll look back and wonder why it took us so long to put a tax on sugar sweetened beverages.
Well, the calendar now is that the next chance we'll get will be the next time there's the city council race, which won't be for 2 years.
Right.
So maybe in the middle of your term, you can bring it back up.
Possibly, or at the state level. It's a little bit like the plastic bag ban.
Exactly.
The city did it a smidge ahead of the state, but
We're having the conversation. We did it with smoking.